This was while you were aware, Gab, but I'm dying to get your take on this. What new allegations against Manchester City were in that documentary that aired on YouTube last week by a mysterious media company nobody had ever heard of? And could this impact on the Premier League's case against them?
So I brought this up. The story's like a week old, but I brought this up because I think there's a lot of cloak and dagger stuff going on here.
I started watching watching the documentary.
I think you got bored.
Yeah.
You can read. There was a story in the Times. The Times also had access to some documents. Basically, so if you take you back to when Manchester City were banned for 2 years, following evidence that was presented in the Der Spiegel football leaks, revelations, were essentially, in a very simple way, City were accused of disguising payments from the ownership via sponsors. So basically, the allegation was that the owners would give money to an Emirati company, and then that Emirati company would just take the money and give it back to City as a sponsorship, and then which is obviously illegal. It's a serious violation, right? So we know that CAS overturned this. They overturned it because UEFA based it on two. One was the Etihad sponsorship. The other one was the Etisalat sponsorship. In the Etihad one, the court found that UEFA didn't bring enough evidence to prove their case. And in the Etisalat, they ended up not reviewing it because they said it was time barred. There was a statute of limitations, whatever. So now we know how it got to that point, and we know UEFA's rationale for the 2-year ban. And the reason I bring this up is, according to them, it went through an intermediary, this mysterious man named Jabir Mohammed, which apparently nobody can find. And they allege that these documents show, and the documents have been reviewed by the Times, they appear to show that this guy paid the money to City. And it's not clear. He's described as a broker. Yeah. A couple of things to say to this. One is these charges are not time barred as far as the Premier League are concerned. So they could be theoretically, the Premier League have 115 charges against City. Theoretically, they could include them.
Yeah.
The other thing that's weird about this is this company, Sunrise Media, was only incorporated in June 7th. I think it's in the British Virgin Islands or some dubious place like that.
Yeah, they created it just for that documentary, basically.
Yeah. And so you wonder who's behind it. Because look, we've done this job for a long time. It's not unusual. It's obviously somebody leaked it from, not so much UEFA because the court is independent, but whatever the adjudicatory chamber, maybe it's a clerk, whoever it is, right, decided we want these documents to be out there. Maybe they can be useful to the Premier League. That part I think is very obvious. What's not obvious then is who goes and pays to set up a media company and produce a documentary. Yeah. I mean, we're in the world of like troll farms or whatever. Who doesn't like Manchester City that much that they would go and do this?
Yeah, that's true.
But whatever, it'll come out in the wash, we assume.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.